to OMTimes Radio. The following is an encore presentation. Welcome to Joy of Business with host Simone Milasas, a dynamic business leader with a difference. Simone has founded and operated many businesses from a young age and has always done business differently. Today, Simone is the worldwide coordinator of Access Consciousness and travels the world presenting Joy of Business programs using access tools and empowering people to know that they can create business in a different way and make money doing it. Simone Milasas, weekly on OMTimes Radio.
Hi everybody, welcome to Joy of Business on OMTimes. You're with your host, Simone Milasas. And today I have, sorry, my computer is showing me something different. Today I have the lovely Katherine McIntosh and Christel Crawford. So welcome.
Thank you.
And today it's called Your Life is Your Business. So your life is your business, and it's like your business is your life. That's one of the things I always say. It's like so many people talk about business classes, say that I do, etc., and they're like, oh, but I don't own a business, so I'm not working a business, or I don't like business. And I'm always talking about if you wake up and you have blood running through your veins, then you're in business because your family's your business, the way you run your life, everything. And it's like, so you've got to start looking at what would you like your life to look like? It's like, is your life the way you'd actually like it to be? So we have Katherine McIntosh, who's an international speaker and facilitator on the topics of health, wealth, business, body, consciousness, and living in a vibrant lifestyle. She's a business wizard and body magician, I like that, who has helped thousands of people monetize and value their genius, including actors, musicians, and 6 to 7 figure business owners. So Katherine wrote the foreword on the #1 bestseller, The Energy of Expansion, which was featured in The Untamed Entrepreneur, and is an author of 2 new books, including The Energy of Healing and Creativity. Look forward to that. She's the founder of the No Judgment Diet, awesome, how does it get any better than that, an international 30-day program that has helped hundreds of people in over 18 different countries to get out of judgment with their bodies to create the business and life they love. Her new podcast, The Body Knows, is a window into accessing the body's brilliance to create the life you'd like to have. Katherine works with high-profile clients and travels the world to energize the areas of their life where something is missing. She's potent, direct, and values every person's mission on the planet. And I think that keeps you rather busy. And what I love about it is I love that she loves what she does. So to me, that's the joy of business. So, and then we've got Christel Crawford. And you live in Denver, Colorado, right, Katherine?
I do. Yeah, I live in 2 places, but Denver's home.
That's where you have your wardrobe, huh?
My wardrobe is in Denver. My office
right.
is by Aspen.
Nice. Oh, I like that. I have to go to Aspen one day. Christel Crawford, also. You live in Canada, correct, Christel?
Yeah, I'm in Vancouver.
Vancouver. Nice. I like Vancouver. I like skiing up near there. So Christel Crawford travels the world facilitating classes, coaching people and entrepreneurs worldwide, and creating a thriving business. A magnificent creator, Christel empowers and invites her clients to create their lives and business with ease, joy, and the creation of income based on the tools of Access Consciousness, their own brilliant awareness, and the success of the creation of her own life and business. Published, writing, and ever creating, she lives in Vancouver near the beach, and if she's not on or near her laptop, can be found on a massage table, a dance floor, or in a bookstore, exhaling deeply and laughing wildly about something. Oh, I love that. How does it get any better than that? So again, thank you for joining me today. And I wanted to sort of, I love it when listeners sort of can walk away with some tools of how to, create their business or how to change something in any area of their life. So I guess the first question I'd like to ask you guys, let's start with Katherine, is when did you first sort of realize that you were interested in business?
It's funny. I kind of am like you, Simone. I laugh. I'm like, I've been in business for myself since I was like 10 years old. Like I always knew that if I was willing to like, get like, I saw possibilities everywhere. So I was always finagling a way that my life would work for me. So I was swindling and dealing and, started businesses when I was 13 years old. And yeah, it was as simple as nannying, but I'd take that money and see where I could create more with it. And so it's been a while.
You know, that's a really interesting point that you just brought up, though, because it's like it's to create the lifestyle that you would like. And I know when I first started you do businesses when you're younger. I used to, it's almost embarrassing to say, but I used to set up all my books, and I'd be a librarian. But you had to pay to take the books out and stuff. That was my big achievement, being a librarian. So, but you did want to create your lifestyle. And a lot of the projections I think you get when you do start a business, your own business, is like, oh, it's going to be, hard work. It's going to be long hours. It's going to be all of these things. So what sort of things would you say to people when they get those projections, and what other possibilities are available?
Yeah, I mean, if you love what you do, and I love what you said, like if you wake up in the morning with blood running through your veins, you're in business. And so I look at it as like, it's not really business, it's life. Like if you love your life, then you can create anything. So it's about recognizing, like people say, oh, you work a lot. And I'm like, it never feels like work. Like in my universe, I get to travel the world and play, and I happen to make money while doing those things that afford the lifestyle I'd like to have.
Excellent. So do I. I love it. And it's like, and I get that each choice you make creates that lifestyle that you would like. Like I know years and years ago when I was traveling, I wanted to travel. That was the main thing I wanted to do. So I left when I was 19 and traveled for 3 years, and then came home and had no money. And I was like, oh, this is not what I want, because I had to move in with my parents. And I was like, I never want to live with my parents again. So I was like, okay, I need to create something different. I need to add money to the situation when I travel. So then I started asking questions. I mean, this is way before Access too. And I think so many of us have been functioning from the tools of Access consciousness. It's like Access just made it so much clearer when you came across it, you were like, oh yes, ask this question, run this process. It makes it easier. But I started to ask questions about okay, so I'd like to travel and I'd like to have money as well. So what do I need to do here? What do I need to create? What choices do I need to make? So you need to actually make those choices yourself though too. It's like nobody else is going to make these choices for you. Like one of the things that was always projected at me was how lucky I was. I was like, I'm not lucky. I created this. So have a look at your life and see if it's like, is this what you'd like to create? Because this is your creation. So what would you like to change? And not about judgment. Just about, okay, so what would I like to change now? So Christel, when did you sort of first have the red, green light go on and go, woohoo, business is for me?
I was kind of looking at that. I think my business, it's probably true too that as a kid I, was a natural entrepreneur. But when I look at when I really started like just going for it in business, it was more out of resistance to the stupidity that I saw around me. Like I would get into a situation in a job and I mean, it was stupidity based on my point of view, but I would get into a job and, see the way things were done, and I could do it so much quicker and so much faster. And what started to get created out of that was one, I didn't like having a boss. Two, I thought I would be the best boss ever. And three, that I just knew that it could be done better and more efficiently. And so like my first business was a pizzeria. And I'd never run a pizzeria before, but I'd managed one, and somebody was willing to pay for it, opening it, and I was like, well, if you open it, I'll run it. Like I knew I could do it. And then it just kind of went from there. And then there was a landscaping business, and then there was a freelance landscape design business. And so officially probably in my 30s, but I just always had what Gary talks about, that ache of dissatisfaction, that there has to be another way of doing things that works better. And I would say that that's the thing that's really fueled everything I've created, even probably up to now.
I like the best boss ever thing, because I think that's something that comes up for most people. It's true though. It's like, I mean, one of the tools that I learned, the first class I ever went to with Gary in San Francisco was a business class. And I remember sitting in the front row and him talking about hiring people that were better than you. I was like, oh no, I've been hiring people because my point of view was always, no one can do the job as good as me. So everyone I was hiring couldn't do the job as good as me. So then it always came back to me. So then I started asking for people who were better than me. And I've actually just started asking that again lately. I was like, okay, I need someone who's like faster, a better mover, a better creator, everything than me to show up. And what would that look like? And everything that doesn't allow that to show up, destroy and uncreate it, right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyond. So clearing statement. You want to find more out about it? Go to theclearingstatement.com or accessjoybusiness.com. Just in case this is your first time listening to our show. So tell me more about the best.
Yeah, well, sorry, I was just going to say I like that you said that because I find if there's a place where I do stop myself in business that is something I'm changing is asking for people that are better, because I think when you're so good at so many things, it's really easy to go to the conclusion that you are the best ever or there isn't anybody better. And that probably out of anything stops, what can actually be possible. So I love that you said that, and that's something I'm adding to my business all the time.
Yeah, and it's sort of a fine line too, because I see people not willing to acknowledge their capacities. And it's like, I mean, you two are both brilliant businesswomen, and it's like, and I like the fact that you're actually willing to acknowledge your capacities. It's like you have to. It's like you have to acknowledge what you're great at. If you don't acknowledge what you're great at, how can you expect anybody else, like including the people that work with you or around you, to actually acknowledge their capacities as well? And it's like, so, I mean, start to have a look at what your capacities are. And I can guarantee you, if you're listening to this show, it's like the things that you think are stupid and dumb and useless are your capacities. They're the things that you are great at and that you can make money from. It's like, oh, no, that's easy. Anyone can do that. It's like, how many times have you heard yourself saying that? And when you do say it, it's like, just stop for a second and maybe even write it down or get your phone and put a note in your phone and go, oh, okay, this. And it's like, no, I'm brilliant at this. And you've got to start to acknowledge those capacities. So everything that doesn't allow you to perceive, know, be, and receive your capacities can be destroyed and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyond. I feel quite honoured to have both of you on here, so thank you.
Simone, do you want to know my secret weapon, my secret person in my business?
Yes, please.
Is my son.
Yes, please.
So when I was pregnant with him, he had this giant vision, right? And I'm like, I was a full-time hairdresser at the time and doing part-time energy work on the side. And he had this, like, I want to travel the world. I want to be on stages. I have a message, and you're going to help me deliver it, and you're going to be on stage. And I'm like, you're going to have to help me with that. And so when he was born, I just asked him questions, and he would deliver an energy. And he's a brilliant business savvy. Like, I followed the lightness of both of our knowings to create my businesses.
I like that. And you know what? I'm going to talk more about that after the break, because I was just looking after two of our mutual friends, the Magic Twins, yesterday for 6 hours. And I've got some more hints about how their parents use their kids too. So we'll be back really soon. Don't go away, because we won't be. Would you like to make a difference in the world but don't know how? Do you think you'd have an easier time creating that change with or without money? Here's the thing. You have to be willing to value yourself and the services that you offer to start creating more money. My new online video course, Finding the Value of You and Your Business, is now online at udemy.com. Go to accessjoyofbusiness.com/Udemy special to get $20 off today.
Host your show on IOM-FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM-FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
Circle of Hearts Radio is the sanctuary on the airwaves. Join me, Grandmother Elia, in the circle on Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern, as I share information to both enlighten and nourish your soul.
The number one reason girls drop out of school in sub-Saharan Africa is lack of access to feminine hygiene products. The Pads for Schoolgirls project, an outreach of Humanity Healing International, is changing this paradigm by setting up sewing programs at schools, teaching girls a vocational skill, while producing the reusable pads that help keep them attending classes. The girls pay it forward by making and giving pad kits to other girls in need. To learn more, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is. The cutting edge of conscious radio, OMTimes Radio, IOM FM.
Hi everybody, welcome back to Joy of Business. And we were just talking about using your kids, employing your kids, and I like it. And I've got a couple of stories and ways that you can do that as well. It's like at one point, Nash, our son, he wanted to travel more with us, and he's sitting at the kitchen bench. And I was like, well, you have to help us make more money. And he looks at me and he goes, why do you need more money if I'm traveling with you? And I was like, well, flights, the accommodation, and sort of started naming it. But when I gave him the information, he looks at me and he goes, oh, okay. And he goes, so we need to make more money. And I was like, yeah. And he goes, okay, I can contribute to that. And then that's it. And it's like, and we have made more money. Like that was probably when he was like 8. So it's like 2 years ago. And we have made more money. So like Katherine said, it's like, don't be afraid to ask your kids to contribute to your life. And it's like yesterday we looked after Lauren, Marie, and Dylan's 2 kids. First time ever they've left their kids for that long with somebody else. 6 hours, twins, Preston and Ayla. It's a 2-man job. I don't know how they do it. And Brendan and myself were looking after them. And it's like, but I see Lauren and Dylan continuously ask for their kids' contribution as well. Like we're about to have a New Zealand 7-day event and they'd like to go. And it's like, when you talk about it, you can see the twins go, yep, we're going. And it's like they did crowdfunding to get their kids to South Africa 7-day event. And I'm like, it's brilliant. And it's like, so ask your kids for the contribution. And it's like in any way that you think that that's not kind and you can't be doing that, have a look at the energy of it. Your kids desire to contribute to you with no judgment and no expectation. So ask your kids if they can actually contribute.
Yeah, and they have an awareness of a future that we can't yet see. And when they deliver it in their universe without words, without judgment, without a point of view, just like, yeah, that's possible, it's like it opens up a space that is undefinable.
Yeah, totally. And it's not that we don't have the capacity to see it, we just refuse to.
Exactly.
They're more willing to see the future. We've decided that we have to work it out. So everywhere that you decided you have to work out the future rather than actually be aware of like 30 years in advance. I mean, I was just talking to Gary Douglas yesterday and he was talking about some different businesses. And I said, okay, tell me how many years in the future are you when you make these choices or ask these questions? And he's like, oh, about 30 years. And I looked at it and I was like, oh, a lot of the choices that I've been currently making, I'm not doing 30 years. I'm doing like 1 month or 2 years or 5 years. But I have an awareness of the future, yet I wasn't truly asking questions based on 30 years, 50 years. Because like, he does business so different. It's incredible. It's like I'm hounding him with questions at the moment. So what if every question you asked for your business, you were asking about what this would look like in 30 years' time? And it's like, start with that and see what starts to show up, because so many people I see sort of contract and start to make it about something that it's not. And it's like, you know what, is this really going to matter in 30 years' time? It's like, what choice could you make that's going to expand everything exponentially? I mean, they say that most businesses last 75 years, which is a person's lifetime. And it's like, and that's if they get to that. Like, that's a very, very successful business. What if you were creating your business to last for 500 years? It's like, what changes could be created on the planet?
Well, and I love that.
I was just going to say that's such a huge question, and I think what I've noticed is that a lot of us smaller solopreneurs or, solo artist acts, eliminate that question from our repertoire because we're too small. And something I've noticed is that when I add that question in, it just changes the energy from which I'm creating and expands everything. And I do make different choices, and then everything expands. And so it's really just like everywhere that we've eliminated ourselves as the source of the creation of a 500-year future, can we destroy and uncreate all that?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Right, wrong, good, bad, POC, all nine shorts, boys and beyond.
Yeah,
and none
if
of us
your
are
life
too small.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
If your life is your business, then you're including yourself in that 30-year forecast or 50-year forecast.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Which,
I mean, I don't want to retire. Do you?
Yeah, no, don't want to die. We won't die, Simone.
No, retire. Which is
retire.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that word
means. Same
means.
energy. Yeah.
I know. I mean, I love it when people talk about retiring, and it's like, what? So you can, buy a caravan and travel around Australia, and it's like, I'm sorry, I backpacked around the world when I was 19. I'm done with that, and it's like, I'm not retiring. I'm just going to keep creating.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, but that's this reality projecting at you. So let's talk about the joy of creating. So it's like, I know both of you find creation a lot of fun. And it's like, I have to tell you something, Christel. When I said to some people I work with in Joy Business, I was like, Christel does the most amazing graphics, because I kept seeing them pop up everywhere. This was a while ago. And I was like, she's awesome. Like, she's like really talented. She's like blah, blah, blah. And then, not saying you're not talented, and then someone told me, they said, I think she uses Canva. And I started looking at Canva. And I was like, I mean, it's still brilliant that you do it, but I am so not, that is not my forte at all, that anything. So when I see something like that, I was looking at it from this whole scratch thing, that it was like, this is what she's creating. But you do have a real eye for putting it together to catch someone's attention, which is brilliant. So even if Canva is easy and creative, you're still creative within it. But I had you taking the photo and doing the whole thing from the beginning. So like,
I love what you had me doing.
For one little square social media, the work you put into it.
Yeah, well, that's actually a great segue into the joy of creating, because I think we look at something somebody else creates and we automatically assume that they're more brilliant, that it must be more hard, that they know something we don't know and that we can't do it. And so like one of the things I do with what I create, with everything I create, I check out the things that I think are brilliant that other people are creating, and then I just ask the question like, well, what would it take for me to not only duplicate that but outcreate it with ease? And so from that question, I start looking at all the possibilities. And when I found Canva, at first I found it kind of limiting. And I'm not saying it's the end all be all for graphics creation, but what I can put together in Canva in split seconds does take other people quite a bit of a longer time. And the speed and the ease with which I could create in there just worked for me. And it was just that simple.
Can you talk a little bit about, you mentioned out-creating. Can you tell the listeners what that is?
Yeah, well, gosh, how do you talk about out-creating? So it's like, I mean, one of the questions I think I just functioned from is how can I out-create myself from yesterday? So it's like, I think especially as we're first beginning to create, it's really easy to create something, put it out into the world and go, ta-da! And then you're like, that is probably the best thing I'll ever create, right there, And, which is totally not a question, and, it's a conclusion. And so I'm always inviting myself every day to out-create myself from yesterday. It's like, what would it take to create something greater and more fun and something that's just easier and all of those things, That's
I
what
can
it
put
is
it
for
into
me.
a perspective that some people might get too. And it's like, how many times have you said that was the best sex ever? Rather than going, wow, that was awesome. Now what else is possible? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, so that's pretty much what out-creating is. And it's like better than the last time, greater than the last time. And not based on judgment, just based on what else? Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that greater than the last time, I used to go into a lot of conclusion about that. Greater meant bigger audience. Greater meant, I don't know, more of a voice, more, I don't know. Greater meant something. And now it's just like whatever greater is that day. Like greater that day could be that I have no idea. Greater that day could be I got out of bed on a different side and I had coffee instead of tea. Like that could be out creating myself from yesterday. And it could also be that that I have a new radio show or whatever it is. Like greater's just whatever's greater for you in that moment.
Yeah, and greater can create a completely different energy to allow something different to show up. So, Katherine, joy of creating, and it's like I know most people don't see business, as I've mentioned, as fun or playful, and it's like I thought they did, but I found out that I was delusional. And there's a few of us out there though. So it's like, what are some of the things that you like sort of can give some tools or questions to people that they can start to change their point of view or see where they do have that playful, fun energy with business?
It's such a great question. Well, I think just like I always look at the body at first, right? Like what does my body know? What would be fun for me? You know, and if I follow the fun, like joy of business, if I follow the joy, but for me, I'm so body oriented, I'm so kinesthetic that it's like, you know, if people started to ask their bodies, just like asking your kids, right? What is it? And how I started was, wow, what would I do? I mean, it's one of the tools of access is what would I do all day long for free? I'd probably forget to eat. I'd probably forget to, you know, drink water or sleep, you know, because you're so lit up, right? So it's like, what are the things that you do for free that you don't even think, but you would do them all day long? You don't think they're, you know, that big of a deal or that big of a contribution. And, you know, that's the gift that we all have in the different avenues of where we can create.
I like that. That's a totally different perspective too. It's like, you know, working with your body as your best mate.
Yeah.
So, do you have anything on that, Christel?
Oh, can you ask me the question again? Like out of a
sure.
5-day class,
Sorry.
and I'm like totally blank.
Right, and thank you, because I know it's your evening, so thanks for coming on. It's just about the joy of creating, and it's like, how do people sort of start to access that they may even have that, you know, instead of that like drudgery of like, ooh, got to go to work.
Yeah. Well, I would just look at, like, if you're experiencing business as a drudgery, what's actually true about business for you? Because I think where the drudgery, you know, what is true for you? What if business for you isn't anything you've even ever seen on the planet? And, like, my experience of business is that it is just the joy of creating. So it's like, what do you enjoy creating? What do you naturally create that you're not acknowledging you create? What would light you up in the morning to create, you know? I just really start from there. Like, if business wasn't anything you've seen or seen done, what is it for you?
Oh, I like that. If there's no definition of it, you've never seen it done before, what would you choose? So I love that. And the joy of creation. So if you even start to write down a list of the things you love creating and then ask, can I make money from that? So we're going on a break and we'll be back really, really soon. Don't go away because, like I said, we're not. And we're talking on Joy Business about life as your business.
Have you ever wondered how to change your love paradigm? The secret key is finding a love partnership, not just a regular connection. How do you find these? Through conscious relationships. Ascending Hearts Dating is a dating site for people like you that believes in second chances and a different type of spiritual connection. Try Ascending Hearts for free today at ascendinghearts.com and change your love paradigm. Ascending Hearts, the premier dating community for the spiritually awake.
The Conscious Parenting Radio Show provides inspiration and resources for loving, empowering, and respecting your children and yourself. Join me, Timothy, every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time as we consciously explore proven ways of living together in happiness, health, and harmony.
Host your show on IOM-FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM-FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
Would your business and life like to be bigger? Would you like to have more fun with everything you do? Simone Milasas travels the world facilitating Joy of Business seminars. These classes are for you if you would like to create more money and joy, expand your business, and work smarter, not harder. Join her live or watch the online seminar from the comfort of your own home. Go to www.accessjoyofbusiness.com to register and for more information.
Connecting you with the best of the conscious minds in the world. OMTimes Radio. IOM-FM.
Told you, we're back with Katherine and Christel and Simone. And one of the things that one of the adverts was just on is about Joy Business classes in Denver, Colorado. And I'm only going to the US, Canada area once this year. So, and Katherine is one of my lovely hosts actually. And it's from the 1st to the 3rd of September. So Joy Business 101, Business Done Different, and Joy Business 102, the Adventure of Business and Living. And you can come to Denver, Colorado, climb a mountain as well, or you can actually jump on live stream. So as that advert said with my friend Christopher, you can watch it from the comfort of your own home. So would love to meet any of you guys out there. So don't forget to check it out. Go to accessjoybusiness.com and search Classes with Simone and you'll find it there. And while I'm talking about that, I wanted to make sure that you guys could, because I always leave it to the last minute. I'm like, and then Christel Crawford, you know. So if we, Catherine's actually got a 5-day class in Glenwood Springs, Colorado from May 6th to the 10th. Now, what's a 5-day class? You've heard us talk about it. It's the bars, which please, if you've been listening to the shows and never had your bars run, go and find someone to run your bars. You can go to the accessconsciousness.com site and search out bars. We've spoken about that. It's bars and the foundation class. So it's the foundation class. I mean, I know, Christel, you were just there as well. I was watching it live stream. I'm not sure about you, Katherine, with Gary and Dane. And it's like, holy moly. And it's like, talk about change in your life. Any area of your life you think is not working for you, you can actually change. But you have to be willing to change it. So it's really cool. It's really interactive. There's also lots of body processes, lots of fun. So find out from, you can find both of these ladies, Christel Crawford and Katherine McIntosh, on accessconsciousness.com. But they've also got their own personal website. So we've got Katherine McIntosh with a K, KatherineMcIntosh.com, and also with Christel, CrystalJoyCrawford.com. And also, like I said, and if you have any problems, email us and we can send you their details as well. So, and you've got, Christel, one of my favorite classes actually too, an advanced money workbook class at the beginning of May. So they've both got lots of things. They're active. They've always got things on. So check it out because they're two of the most empowering women. And if you have anything going on and it's like, you know, you can change it basically. Change. So let's talk about change, actually, because one of the things I see people do, they start a business and then they want to change it, but they think they can't change it because they've already started it and they have to keep at it. You know, like, you know, a bad relationship. It's like people keep with a bad relationship instead of just going, what if I started a new one or didn't have one or whatever that is. So it's like, have you guys ever done that before? Like, you know, stuck to a business too long? Like a one-night stand that goes on way too long?
Never.
I've never done that. Like, either one of those scenarios. That is not familiar to me.
That's so funny.
I see.
Go for it, Christel.
What do you see that as? Like the resistance? I mean, we talk about change, and it's like, I get it's a resistance to change. Or what do you see that as? Or what can people change?
I think it's that. I mean, one of the things I was aware of when I started this particular business with coaching and facilitation and creation was that I really wanted to create it so that it could be as flexible as possible, because in the past I've created two very solid businesses that and I didn't have tools at the time either, but from my point of view, those businesses really couldn't be anything more than what they were. And so I actually learned from that really doesn't work for me. So what I would say to people is, and what I think the key piece of information here is really getting how you function as an individual. Like, what do you need to create as a system, your business, how can you create your business as a system that can always be evolving and changing if that's the way you function and that's what would be fun for you? And if you haven't created it that way, what would it take to change it? It's just really simple. I think we really overcomplicate it is that. We decide something has to be a certain way and then go to trying to fulfill what we've decided has to be. And this is where I really play with POC and potting, my decisions, judgments, computations, and conclusions, projections, expectations, separations, judgments, and rejections about everything I create. So everything that is for anybody listening around what you've already created, what you've decided you should create, or what could be possible to create, can we destroy it and create all that?
Yes.
Right, wrong, good, bad, POD, POC, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. So if you didn't, the question I would play with is if you didn't have any projections or expectations or decisions about what you've already created, what could you create that you haven't considered as possible?
Yeah, and I actually really like the way that you were talking about, like, what would you like your lifestyle to be? I mean, obviously, if you had the business of landscaping and the pizza place, well, you can't just go, oh, I feel like going to work now, it's 4 a.m., who wants pizza? And it's like, no, obviously your, peak times are going to be at a certain time and you have to be there. So it's like, what would you like? And it's like, and you don't have to be there either. It's like you could, hire someone else to do it. And it's like, so, I mean, everywhere that you think that you have to be the person at this time there, it's like, what if there was flexibility in every choice? It's like anywhere, like you were saying, Christel, that you make it solid. It's like, what if it didn't have to be like that?
Well, and that's where I would just really encourage people to use interesting point of view. I have this point of view for every single point of view around their business, because as soon as you're willing to get out of your interesting points of view, that's when something else actually becomes possible.
Yep. And people might listen to that and they're like, what is she talking about? And And the third or fifth time they hear it, they'll do it. So, because it's one of the tools that we have in Access is, if for 3 days, every single point of view you have, if you run, interesting point of view, I have this point of view about everything, like the food you eat, the what you're choosing to do on the weekend or during the day, or that you woke up late and then you start judging yourself. Interesting point of view, I have this point of view. Is there late anyway? A wizard is never late, And it's like getting yourself out of that place of judgment and out of that fixed point of view so that you can actually create, as Christel said, I love that, playing with a question. It's like find some questions that work for you and start to play with it, because that's what this is truly about. It's not like, oh, you have to, joy business is not you have to walk in laughing hysterically all the time or that everything turns out okay. It's like, no, sometimes there's some really shitty stuff that shows up. But it's like, okay, how am I going to deal with this? What questions can I ask?
Yeah.
What can I change? What do I have to be here?
And I just get that, I think what makes business fun for me is I let it be, I didn't in the beginning, but more and more I'm letting it be an adventure of just discovering more of me, discovering more of what works for me, discovering what creates and what doesn't create, and what I can learn from that, and just never stopping. Because none of it means anything. That thing not creating something doesn't mean that I'm a terrible person or a facilitator. And this thing creating doesn't mean I'm an excellent person or facilitator. It just means that this really created. Oh, I wonder what that was. I wonder what else I can create that would be even greater than that. This thing didn't create. Oh, I wonder what that was. I wonder how I can out-create that. But constantly just staying in that continual play of what can show up if you're just willing to be curious and play with it.
Absolutely. Katherine, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah. I mean, it's funny when people go to change their businesses or relationships, or it's like I always look at it like, would you ever try and solidify your life? Like calculate 50 years in advance what it needs to look like? Part of making, your life your business and your business is your life is the adventure of not having things solid. So I've, just in the last 3 years have changed the dynamic of my business. You've watched the growing pains and I always watched people when they got to that growing pain, they'd completely dissolve their business. They'd sell it, they'd let it go, they'd, create the conclusion they're a failure. And one of the tools that has been monumental in I've never run out of money. I've come close, but it just keeps getting bigger and better and more possibilities is, well, okay, business, all right, body, all right, universe, if money wasn't an issue, what would I choose? And somehow asking that question for, the big choices to make some big changes. I mean, you watched me last fall go through a massive change in my business with my team. And, I just had to keep looking, okay, if money wasn't an issue, what would I choose? And I thought that the point of view was to hang on to the people that were awesome in my business. And what I realized is if money was an issue, I'd let them go. And that doubled my business.
It's so funny because we've all been around for a while using the Access Consciousness tools. And, you use them, you hear them, you use them, you hear them, and then you hear them again and go, oh, and it's like right now in my life, and it's like that tool so applies to something that I'm looking at. It's really funny because it's like I facilitate this tool. I've given it out. I've used it for years and years and years. And it's interesting when you hear it again. And that's, I think, why so many people go to access classes over and over again. It's like, you know, bars and foundation. And it's like, but people go to them over and over again because every single class is completely different. And you hear something completely different. So thank you for bringing that tool up because I needed to hear that tool today. And it's a great tool.
My pleasure.
It's like, if you make money the issue, money will always be the issue. So it's like if you make money significant, it will always be significant. So asking that question, if it wasn't about the money, what would I choose here? It's like, because then creation can actually outcreate the significance and the solidity of money.
Well, and when you make anything significant, you stop the joy of living. There's like this dense, cranky, you know, my tool yesterday was what's the lie here? Known the tool for 5+ years, and in 2 minutes asking it like I went from like cranky for 48 hours to so much space and joy in my universe. And I've been literally like woke up at 3 a.m. last night, and I've been up since 3 a.m. on my computer like a total geek, like giddy kid with this giant smile on my face, creating all these things for the future, which is really exciting.
I like that. So it's like you're playing with the questions as we're talking about so that you can actually create that space for more creation. It's like, because what if you never made any of your life solid? I mean, you mentioned relationship, and my point of view was always like, how can you be with someone and go, I'm going to get married and be with you for the next 50 years or 80 years or whatever it is, you know? And I was like, that never made sense to me because I was like, I don't know what I want to do in 5 years or 10 years' time. I don't know what I want to do when I grow up, you know? And I've never, ever, not one place I've lived have I ever said, oh, this is where I live. Like this is, always looked at it as this is a transitional. Or even now, we have this beautiful house and I'm like, well, we could get a house in Italy, in the south of France or Italy or something like that for 6 months and go stay over there. So I'm not making this solid. This is just part of creating a future. So it's like, where are you making your life solid? I mean, my point of view is like, why can't you sit down with someone after 5 years of being with them and say, with a bottle of champagne and say, hey, you want to go another 5 years or are we done? Are we done with what we're supposed to do with each other? And thank you so much, rather than making it trauma and drama. So we are off to another break, but we will be back. We've got one more segment with these lovely ladies, Katherine and Christel, and you're listening to Simone Milasas on Joy of Business on OMTimes. And we're talking about your life is your business. Don't go away.
Would you like to be a part of creating a sustainable future on planet Earth? The El Lugar Foundation, created by Gary Douglas and Dr. Dane Heer, is a non-for-profit organization providing alternative ways of working with and preserving land for a sustainable future. To donate and learn more, go to www.crowdrise.com/El Lugar. What kind of earth would you like to see passed on to the next generation and beyond? www.crowdrise.com/El Lugar.
As difficult as it is to believe, there are places in Africa where human traffickers sell albino children and their body parts for use in magic rituals. Humanity Healing International is actively working in Uganda to change this paradigm. The Albino Rescue Project finds albino children who are at risk and places them in safe schools and environments where they can learn and grow free from fear. To learn more or to sponsor a child, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is. Are you trying to get from point A to point B and need a little advice? Connect with the counselors at OMTimes Advisors. Whether you're looking for a life coach or a spiritual intuitive, the advisors participating at advisors.omtimes.com were carefully chosen based on their gifts, skills, and professionalism. OMTimes Advisors, connecting you with the best advisors in the business.
Hi, I'm Katrina Kavanagh, host of the I Am Wisdom radio show. I Am Wisdom is about the connection between mind work and energy work, spirituality and living a wonderful life. Looking forward to sharing each Sunday 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with you.
Your conscious connection to a more mindful world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Welcome back, everybody. You're with Simone Milasas on Joy of Business, and we're with Katherine and Christel. And just in case you want to hear that again, you can find Christel Crawford at ChrystelJoyCrawford.com. And Katherine, where's yours gone? KatherineMcIntosh.com. That's nice and easy. It's her name with a K.
No A in the McIntosh.
No A in the McIntosh. MC, like a good Scot.
You got it.
You can also find them on accessconsciousness.com. So I wanted to ask you guys too about what like a typical day is for you, because one of you mentioned, I think it was you, Katherine, about people saying that you work a lot, and I noticed that is one of the judgments of this reality that gets projected at people of how much you work. Like my mother once said to me that I had no idea how to relax, and of course I bought her judgment, and I was like, oh my God, I have no idea how to relax. And then I started looking at it, and I was like, hang on, what's her definition of relaxation? Oh, sitting in front of the TV for hours on end. And I was like, yep, you're right. I have no idea how to relax. so it's like, and I know my PR agent at one stage, she came up and stayed at our house, and she was like, God, this is awesome. She said, you guys wake up in the morning and have computer parties with coffee, and then at nighttime you have computer parties with wine. She's like, you guys work all the time. It's great. She said, when I'm in Sydney, so many of my friends tell me that I work too much and then I shouldn't work as hard. And she said, but I love it. And I'm like, yeah, you got to do what you love. We call them computer parties. So it's like, what's your, like, how do you get around that when people say that you work a lot? And what's your typical day? It's like, do you ever have time, quote unquote, off, as this reality would say?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I feel so lucky because it's like, I travel the world, and I get, like, for me, being on a plane is like the joy of space. I go on lots of dates. But I don't sit and have coffee and watch boring movies or boring TV unless I can have my computer out, because I would much rather be engaged in the creation of a future. And not that you can watch, like, not that a movie is a bad thing, but if that's my routine, like I never watch TV. It's pretty rare that I put on the TV, and it's not because I don't want to. It's just I have other things that are so much more fun for me. I have a 3.5-year-old, so any concept of routine, at least in my universe, is really different. Like I don't wake up and say, okay, from 9 to 10 I'm going to do this. I just know I need to get him to school in the morning. But I usually wake up 2 to 3 hours before he does, and I'm like this giddy teenager on my computer and asking my business what it requires today. And one of the things that I did that really changed my business in the last 6 months is I've been waking up every morning in bed and acknowledging everything I did the day before, even if it includes the date. Even if it includes a phone call, because as a crazy creator, and my life is my business, so quote unquote from this reality I'm always working, I was never acknowledging how much I did in one single day. And Lauren Marie with twins, like the woman gets stuff done, and it's like, how do you do that? So
I don't know how she does it.
I started acknowledging, and I went, oh my God, I do more in one day than most people do in a week. And then when I was done with my acknowledgments, and they're just in my head, just like, hey, I made this, 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 and this. I did this, 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 and this. I went to the post office. I ran errands like a normal person. Just I got in the habit of looking at my day and really acknowledging. And then what I would do is, okay, well, what seeds do I want to plant today? And what could I start asking for that I haven't been asking for? Like this energy of, I haven't been asking for it because I don't yet think I can have it. So I started to sort of go beyond my comfort zone and ask for things that are absolutely ridiculous. But every time I ask for them, it brings a smile to my face and creates this forward momentum. And they're starting to show up. It's awesome. So that's sort of my routine. And then I just follow my awareness throughout my day.
I like that. And two of my favorite questions which would fit in with that is what possibilities are available that I've not yet asked for, and what possibilities are available that I've not yet instituted. Because again, it's going to that place of what Christel was mentioning about out-creating yourself as well. So, but I love the acknowledging, because we go so quickly to judge ourselves of what we haven't done, like, or the money that we don't have, rather than acknowledging the money we do have and acknowledging what we have created. And like you said, it's like, you know, how much faster do you usually work than most people? So, Christel, what's your sort of typical day like for you? Or do you ever have a day off where it's like, or what's your, you know, point of view on all of that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think one of the first things that I had to really acknowledge was that I really love to work. Like, it's really fun for me. And one of the things, I mean, I do a lot of online dating, so I get to create these different profiles, and I'll put it up for like a few days, and then I'll take it down, and then I'll change it. And so I get to play with the wording. And one of the things I realized is one of the questions people ask is, what do you do for fun? And I would flounder initially, because I was like, actually, what I do for fun is business. And so I started really acknowledging that. And really what was funny about that is that once I had no more point of view about it, I really don't get a lot of questions about it anymore, because it really is fun for me. And I think that's key, because one of the things I hear people say is, well, I don't want to work, I want to play. Cool. So what can you create that would be play for you? And so, like, my typical day is kind of atypical, but I mean, I do spend a lot of time on my computer because I love it. And I do spend a lot of time in my house on my computer because I love it. And I created my house into a space where I've got like 4 or 5 workstations so that I can have computer parties and invite over my friends that are also doing the same thing, you know, and we can have fun if we want to, instead of having a normal kitchen table, because that's not really how I live, you know. So I really just created my life around what really works for me, and started acknowledging what that was that really worked for me. And so a typical day is really just getting up and looking at, you know, what's asking for my attention. And, you know, I'll browse a few things to sort of get some ideas and juices flowing. And I'll just start exactly what Katherine said, following my awareness around what can I choose that would move this forward faster? What can I choose that would create the greatest impact in the world, are some of the questions I play with some days. I love speed, so I am always asking questions that really invite the speed of creation into my world. And that's just something that I learned about, you know, that I create faster than most people, and I like it faster. So, you know, so for me, that's one of the energies I really play with of just actualizing at the speed that really works for me.
I like that, and I've come up with an idea. Maybe we should do another show called The Business of Dating. Both of you have mentioned the dating.
Ooh, yeah, that would be fun. That would be really fun.
Yeah.
It's so fun.
I've been, I lived with Blossom Benedict when she was going on 1 million dates, and it was hilarious. And it's like she'd come home and like give me these stories of what had just occurred. and some of them were just so crazy, or the people that she'd met, or just really kind and nurturing, or completely different. And it's like, completely different reality. So we might look at creating that one day in the next couple of months with you ladies, if you're up for it.
I'd love to. And can I just say one thing about that? Would be so fun. One of the things that actually you talked about earlier about not acknowledging a capacity that's so easy for you, you're just like, you know, you don't even look at it. I realized that I have a really different point of view when it comes to online dating or dating in general, that is really ease-filled and possibility-laden, and I just have no point of view, and it's just really easy to create dates and have them and do all this. And I've been getting into conversations with other girls that don't have that ease, which has been sort of shocking to me. And somebody said, well, you should be a dating coach. And I literally went, that would be way too easy.
I love it.
And I mean, really,
we use our own tools.
Yeah, exactly. And it really took me a month of actually dealing with myself around this thing that would just be too easy. I can't even do it. So, I mean, what is that for you? You know, as you're listening to this, what is that thing that you're like, who would do that? You know, that if you chose it, could really expand your life quickly and dynamically with a lot of ease.
Yeah. And one of the things that was both of you talking about your daily sort of, you know, non-routine, I want to say, your non-typical day, although it's pretty much like, you know, being in the question and following the energy, is what I receive from that too is the ease. And it's like, I really want everyone else out there listening to this to get that you can create your life, and your life is your business, as ease. It's like ease, joy, and glory. That's the mantra of Access. All of life comes to me with ease, joy, and glory. And it's like, run that. Write it down on a piece of paper and put it, you know, next to your bed or in the bathroom or in your car. And it's like wherever you are, and run it. All of life comes to me with ease, joy, and glory, because your life doesn't have to be hard. And like I said before, sometimes, you know, the universe throws you some things that you're like, oh, well, how am I going to deal with this one? You know, it's like, it never shows up the way you think it's going to show up, but you can deal with it in an easier way, and your life can be easier. I mean, if you listen to these ladies and you're thinking, yeah, you know, you guys all have, you know, this ease and joy and play and business, but we've used the tools. We've asked the questions, and it's like, and we've demanded that that's the reality that's going to show up. So what are you demanding? That if you demanded it, that could show up would make your life way easier.
Different reality. I can do it. If I can do it nursing a 3-month-old into a 6-figure business in less than a year, anyone can do it.
Exactly. And Lauren Marie, who's actually been on my show a couple of times, it's like if she can do it with the twins,
oh my goodness,
then anyone can do it. And it's like, it's amazing. So, but I mean, it's like, but what do you use as that roadblock? That isn't really a roadblock. That if you didn't use it as a roadblock would create, you know, a greater, easier, simpler life with everything that you desire. And everything it doesn't allow that to show up. Let's destroy and uncreate it. Right, wrong, good and bad, pop and pot, all names, shorts, boys and beyond. So we have about a minute left, ladies. Anything else you'd like to leave the listeners with?
I'd just really like to invite people, like if you're sitting there and you're comparing yourself to us or comparing yourself to Simone or comparing yourself to Blossom or anybody else that you've seen that's awesome and you're letting that stop you, what if you didn't? Because that's really when my business started to explode, was when I really just said, screw it. Like, I'm not like them. I'm like me. I'm going to create in the way that works for me and see what that creates. And that's when everything really started taking off. So what, if you didn't compare yourself to anybody, what would you be aware of and what could you choose?
Yeah, and I didn't show up like this either.
I know.
$187,000 in debt, taking lots of drugs, destroying myself. And it's like, and then I found Access Consciousness tools and went, oh, I can change anything.
Yep, totally.
So thank you so much, ladies, for coming on this show. And I'm going to take you up on that. We're going to do a business of dating show.
I love it.
And give some really cool tools to people.